Yo, we just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the full ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.
Speaking of imagery, you might want to catch that perfect cigarette joint I just rolled with my with my monkey knuckles.
Oh, that is incredible. That is incredible.
I'm proud of that. I might not smoke it. Yeah, I will.
All right. So, Rob, honestly and truly, man, it's an honor to be speaking with you again. And I know you've been asked all the questions. I know you've kind of spoken everything. And the Chris Van Vliet interview was so in depth. He's one of my personal favorites. And your interview with him was one of my favorites. But I will try to be different in the questions that I ask. And my first question, WrestleMania 22, you were the second winner of the Money in the Bank ever. And WrestleManias are always electric moments, but to be in the second Money in the Bank match, how incredible was the atmosphere on that night?
Well, it was the energy was pretty high, no pun intended. I didn't watch the first one, looking back at it right now with the bigger picture, like we always have with time. So I didn't really know what to expect. And because I'm so skeptical until the end, I don't really know what's going to happen anyway, because I feel like, someone's going to stick a knife in my back and screw me over somehow. So I really enjoyed the match, and some great contestants in it, to come out with the W, with all those great athletes in there. I thought that was very promising on how WWE must look at me. But other than that, I didn't really look that much into what that meant. I grabbed the briefcase, and when I went to Gorilla, the entrance on the way back, I tried to hand off my briefcase. I thought it was a prop for the show, and Michael Hayes said, "No, that's yours. You keep that." And I laughed, and I tried handing it to someone else. I think it was maybe Bruce Pritchard or whatever, and they said, "That's yours." I said, "What do you mean?" They said, that's yours 24 hours a day. You got to carry that with you. And I really didn't, I didn't know. I thought they were joking. And it turns out they were right. So I had to, because I already hated checking in, or I'm sorry, when you fly every single day, like we were back then, you get a process that works for you. And I never, ever want to check in a bag, because it just can, besides it can get lost. Happy 420 PST, by the way, right now.
Mm-hmm.
To do a quick check, yeah. Anyway, it was all I could do to not check a bag in was to stuff everything in my carry-on that I could put above. And then you have like one like body person bag or whatever, which you can stretch into a backpack. But anyway, I didn't have any room to bring an extra briefcase with me. So what I did was I ended up using that as my personal item bag, and I would have all my socks and stuff in there, whatever I couldn't fit in my rolling bag, which had my wrestling gear.
That's amazing. I love that. Absolutely love that. And when I look back at the Money in the Bank lineage and the history and everything like that, you are, as far as my research tells me, the only person, as far as my history and my memory goes, you're the only person to ever call your shot. Everybody kind of cashes in on a down or an already kind of in-match wrestler, but you were the only one to ever say, listen, I'm calling this shot. I am taking this opportunity. How cool is that to know that you've gone down in history for that moment?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. And there couldn't have been a better moment to cash it in than ECW One Night Stand. So, that led to the highlight of my whole career. So pretty awesome. Pretty awesome indeed. And I was also the first and only one to airbrush my briefcase, so it didn't just look like a boring black briefcase. It matched my outfits then. Now they color all of them up because it was a great idea. But also I called myself Mr. Money in the Bank, which made sense because I was Mr. Monday Night, Mr. Pay-Per-View, whatever. But now everybody calls themselves Mr. Money in the Bank because I did.
It's true. That was actually going to be my next question. Everything about the Money in the Bank is kind of synonymous with all the kind of groundwork that you laid out. Did you guys ever think that something that was a special moment for WrestleMania only, it was a WrestleMania exclusive match, would go on to, I guess, become part of the regular schedule in terms of pay-per-view? I mean, I know not everyone looks that far in history, but how cool is that to know that something was a WrestleMania exclusive match only has now broadened itself to a yearly pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And no, I didn't see that coming back then. I had no idea. Everybody knew more about it already than I did on my first Money in the Bank match. And I learned right away that was something that everybody loved and accepted into their wrestling universe. And I mean, like all the fans were excited about it. And they were telling me when I picked the briefcase up that first night in the gorilla, we were having that conversation, and they were saying, "No, that's yours. You take it everywhere." They were saying, "Watch, you're going to see people watch the program. You're going to see everyone's going to know that you're carrying that. You know, like when you go through security at the airport and everything." And they sure were right. You know, they were right about that. Felt like everybody was watching the program back then, and they'd be like, "When are you going to cash that in, Rob?" You know, and it's awesome that it's so big. I remember I wanted to make lunch boxes that looked like it back then to sell as a souvenir and stuff, but it was a short-term thing. I was only going to have it for so long, not even till the next guy has it, really. Only till Mania. So, but now they make the lunch boxes, of course, and everything because it was a good idea.
Yeah, it was. It was. Like I said, all the groundwork that you laid. I was actually going to mention that my daughter, I took her to a house show years ago, and they had the Money in the Bank lunchbox, and we bought it, and she still has it, and it's a great token. It's a great memento. It's cool, and it's also easier for a kid to carry, especially when they're like 5 or 6. Better than that big honking briefcase. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to ask about your Hall of Fame induction. It was incredible to watch you get that Hall of Fame induction, so rightfully deserved. Unfortunately, it was during COVID, and it really felt like everything was kind of rushed because we didn't know what was going to happen, and there was always restrictions, and everything was always changing. It's unfortunate that you guys never really had a chance to have those full-blown speeches like most of the Hall of Fame ceremonies. In terms of that, has there ever been, I don't know, an idea of maybe once a year for the next couple of years, or once a Hall of Fame ceremony, maybe to bring back some of that class to say, hey, I want to give you 30 minutes or 45 minutes. You know what I mean?
No, no, we're part of history now. We got the title, Hall of Famer, and they just move right on to the next year. Of course, it was an honor. I don't want to talk like down or complain about it, but it was in front of an empty crowd, and the pops came from a sound machine, and it threw me off so much that they told us to go 3 to 5 minutes. And we're all like, what? Like, we come here every year and we're like falling asleep, waking up 4 times during most people's speeches, and 3 to 5 minutes. But anyway, I went out there. I figured I'd go a little longer, 7, maybe 9 minutes, and give them some stuff to edit. But every time and I didn't write it, I just went out there, like to thank Marco Ivanich, or whatever his name is. And they would put it an applause sound. It'd go, and go back down. And so I just say another thing, thank my mom and dad. And it was so weird, and it threw my timing off. I had no idea, but I actually went 27 minutes. Told to go 3 to 5. I went 27. No, they said, no, it's okay because it was good. That's what Johnny Ace told me. Because I said, I went long, didn't I? And he was like, it's okay, it was good. Molly, you're next. And then what aired was long, and that was only 9 minutes of it that they aired. But people don't know that they took a lot out, and it was still long. So I don't feel like you need to bring me back. Bring everyone else back first. At least I got to talk a lot in front of an empty house.
It must have been surreal though, just to be there and knowing what you're so used to, and that year was different, and it was
so weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird because it was an empty arena and just people with the sound and it was almost like I expected the guys that were working the machines to give me some kind of clue when it was time to wrap it up. Because you just like, because you say something, and hey, thanks, mom and dad, I love you, and then you hear the applause and you're looking around like there's nobody here, but you see a few faces looking at you. It's almost like I expect the guy, and they're looking at you, waiting to hear what you say so they can hit the button. It's almost like I expect them to be directing me and be like, it's time to wind it up, brother. Yeah, it was a little surreal.
Absolutely, for sure. I've got to talk to you about your tag team reigns. One-time champ with Rey Mysterio, two-time champ with Kane. Quite the juxtaposition in terms of tag team partners. One that's very athletic, very agile, that can go just like you and do some incredible things. And then Kane, one who's stocky, powerful, a brute, strong force. In terms of the juxtaposition, how cool was it to have that parallel in working with someone like Rey Mysterio, who you and him are almost similar in a lot of the ways you are so creative in the ring, and then you have Kane, who is not to say a one-trick pony, but his moveset is more orchestrated because of his size.
Also, I think me and Booker had tag team straps, didn't we? Because the
Yes, you
action
did.
figure.
My apologies. Yes, and Booker T as well.
So no, it's great. It's great that both sides of the extreme work. Me and Ray works, me and Kane works, and that's great because that's always the goal. Way back when I was talking to somebody, a wrestling promoter, Ben Masters, he was asking me who I thought was the best wrestler in the business, and the argument was back then was between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. They were considered the top two guys. Who's better because they're different schools, right? And I don't remember what my reasons were, but I'm sure I went with Bret just because I was a little bit more of a Bret guy. But I remember what he said to me really stuck out in my mind, and he said, "Well, to answer this, he said they're both great. So to answer this question, you have to go with consistency and see who's got the longest track record for being great." And he said you gotta have the best matches regardless of who you're in the ring with. It could be Yokozuna, it could be Spike Dudley, big. And he said you want to be the best, you have to be able to have the best matches regardless of who you're in there with. And so I always had that in mind. And so I always enjoyed that. Enjoyed wrestling Spike Dudley, Little Guido, Mikey Whipwreck, and on the other side, One Man Gang or Bam Bam Bigelow, Kamal, the really big guys, and in between. And so for me, it's always been about what can I do with this guy, to tell the story, to showcase both of us in a proper exhibition that the people will like, and so that's always been the agenda for me. When people ask me, and I'll go ahead and kill. If you're going to ask me, I'll kill the question right now. If people ask me during interviews, they always want to say like, who do you want to wrestle that you haven't, or is there somebody that stands out? I really don't think about fantasy matches like that. I just think, tell me who I got. Let's see what we can do.
Absolutely. And actually wasn't going to be a question that I asked because I know you get that asked a lot of times. So I didn't want to ask that question. But I will ask this. At the end of November of last year, you were featured on a couple episodes of NXT and you got to see the next crop of talent that's coming up. You also worked a spot with Wesley and Javon Evans. Looking at those two cats, especially Javon Evans, what do you think in terms of his ability? I think he's incredible. And you got to see it firsthand, up close and personal, and work with him. How cool was that moment to be back at NXT?
It was super cool for a lot of reasons. But directly to your question, they're both amazing. Wes too. And I just watched a little bit of his match on NXT. I don't know if it aired last night or what I was watching on TiVo, but I was just watching, like, he's so comfortable in the ring, looking so graceful, just moving around there as him, like, he knows who he is in the ring, and of course Javon as well. Man, I'm impressed watching him do the frog splash, seeing the air that he gets. And it's not even just him, but there's a lot of talent in NXT, and the girls too. A lot of the girls are amazing, and so I enjoy seeing the whole standard move along. Yeah, I'm seeing the bar being raised, as always has it always has over time. Like when I got in, you didn't even have to be that great. There was still spots on TV for people that really weren't that great at wrestlers. But if you think about it, if you're really not that good right now, that's by some incredibly high standards. If they say he sucks, it ain't like they used to mean it when the guy really couldn't tie his own boots. And now even if they say it, that just means they don't like him as much as everyone else. But you pretty much got to be really, really good to even have a spot on TV nowadays in the business. Anybody can throw a show together in their backyard, whether they're trained or not, and add some light bulbs and call it a wrestling match. But overall, like top to bottom, everyone is really good, and you can see, okay, she can use some more experience. Okay, he can work on that, and that's definitely part of it. But as far as them and them being ready to be in the ring and get some time in to learn and stuff, like they're not just there, but they're a lot of them are really grasping it and owning it, and they're impressive. I can look there and see, not just Wes and Javon, but I can see a lot of them as definitely being possible huge superstars down the road.
That's incredible. That absolutely is incredible to see that. And all the time, WWE continues to kind of pull back the curtain and show us the steps. Like NXT was the step before the main roster. Now we got LFG, which is the step before NXT, which is a very unique product in itself, because we're getting to see these legends working with these potential future greats. And it's amazing to see how, green some people are. Some of even the talent has had their first match on LFG on the show. My wife and I enjoy it. We never miss an episode every Sunday. When you get to see the curtain pulled back fully, and now the fans are getting to see the full machine from beginning to end. From you being on, you were in that machine, the cogs that work in it. But for the fans to be able to see it all, do you think it's still giving too much away, or at this point everything's just blown wide open anyways?
For me, it's too much. I don't prefer that the business goes that way, but it definitely is. I'm just a little fish swimming upstream now with my beliefs, but it still doesn't sit well with me. Even all the podcast interviews I see all my peers doing, saying, look, here's how you can tell by looking at his face if he's really injured or not. For me, I wish it wasn't like that, because I have the old school fundamentals and beliefs. And also because when you lose a lot of that, you also lose a lot of respect for it. And I don't know if people realize that or not, because newer generations haven't seen what it used to be like, and they don't know maybe that it's actually disrespecting it when everybody feels like they could do it. It's, for me, like if somebody says, hey, is that stuff real? Like, let me just body slam you one time, just one time. And I promise it's not going to be any harder than the way we slam each other. You know what I mean? Is boom. A lot of people do a chop, and you can tell that chops are real. Everyone knows that chops are done so much now that you almost have to know how to chop in order to, before you learn how to do a headlock. It looks like from the product, but yeah, the answer to that is no. I'm not fighting it. There's no way I can, fight the current of the massive river that I'm swimming up against. But for me, that I don't like the fans seeing all that, because then they think that they understand it even more, and there's an agenda too. I mean, come on. I mean, they're not going to tell you exactly. I mean, you think they don't have an image they want to put forward? You think they're really going to be unbiased and say, "Hey, this is how it is when people break into the business." Like everyone just loves each other. They're one big happy family. Just playing, and everyone wants everyone else to get ahead too. It's not like they're all a bunch of egomaniacs that are centered on themselves, getting themselves ahead, no matter what it takes, because that's what was trained in us since we first said we wanted to be a wrestler. You got to sleep, eat, breathe it, and it has to be more than anything else. You got to be willing to do anything for it. Oh, but don't do that. Don't put that in your body. Oh, don't do. Whoa, what are you doing? I didn't mean anything. We're used to coming up in that, and now it's just like, yay, let's go. You're a cheerleader. You should wrestle. So. They're talented, watching those kids, and it's cool seeing them brought in this way, but it's not traditional, and it shouldn't be taken as that.
Mhm. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Now, I got to ask you this, because this is going to air a couple days before WrestleMania, and we may or may not have an answer by that time. But Paul Heyman, I got to go storyline for a while. I got to pick your brain on this. Paul Heyman, is he going to choose Roman Reigns, or is he going to choose CM Punk? I want to get RVD's opinion.
Um, is he? I'm just throwing a dart at the wall. I haven't watched the build-up. I'm gonna say CM Punk.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. He keeps saying CM Punk's his best friend. Roman's his tribal chief, but CM Punk's his best friend. So we'll see how that shakes out come WrestleMania weekend. Now, in terms of the show of shows, the showcase of Immortal, this year they've added something different to the Hall of Fame, and it just so happens that your guy is getting another induction for the iconic match between Bret Hart and Stone Cold, the blood match, the iconic photo of Stone Cold bleeding down his face. That is actually being inducted as an immortal moment, is what they're calling it now. When you see this other category opening up, or you hear about this other category opening up, how interesting is it to be that, you know what? There could be an RVD moment. There's a lot of RVD moments. I mean, I look at, again, the ECW one night stand as a moment that could be immortalized in that wing of the Hall of Fame. But when you hear that, how cool is that not only are they recognizing the talent, but they're recognizing special moments within the talent's careers?
Is a moment the whole match, or is it a moment out of the match?
It's the moment is the whole match. That whole match is the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, I know a lot of my um, accomplishments and things that I've done have been documented and are historical. So that's cool. If they want to punctuate some of my moments, that'd be awesome.
I think it'd be pretty awesome too. I mean, I could see a lot of RVD moments being punctuated for sure. And I guess I got to ask a couple more questions. I'll let you go enjoy your evening. But when you go for signings and conventions, and everything like that, has anybody ever asked you, and you probably have, or has anybody asked you to sign their bong? Has anybody brought their bong and be like, yo, can you sign this for me?
I think it's only happened once that I remember. Yeah, and it was recently.
And how cool was that to be able to, yo, hey, I'm going to put my signature on that for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And cool that he was just carrying it around the con, waiting to come and meet me and get it. Just walking around. But I think he said he went to put it back out to his car after I signed it. But yeah, it may have happened more than once, but that's the only time I remember. And I remember trying to think, like I feel like maybe I signed one somewhere before, but maybe it wasn't in public, like at someone's house or something. So pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool. And it wasn't an RVD one, but he was saying now that's his goal, is to get one of the fine RVD pieces and have me sign that one.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yep.
I would love that. If I ever meet you at a convention, I'm definitely going to buy one of those pieces and I'm going to bring it to get you to sign it because that would be an amazing piece of the collection to have for
Yeah.
sure. An RVD sign bong, incredible. And my final question, and this is something that I guess is one of my pinnacle, I guess, storylines for me that really pulled me or was one of my favorite storylines from that era. Of course, a lot of people say it could have done better, but the evasion angle, when they brought everybody in and they were trying to work on everything. Looking back at that angle now and how, in my opinion, just from me being a fan's perspective, it felt rushed. Everything felt so quick that it was hard to really catch a glimpse of that. Is that what it felt from your standpoint, being a talent at that time?
Well, no, I can't say that because the whole everything for me was different. You know what I mean? Like I just got there, so everything was overwhelming. I didn't have any concept of what a normal pattern would be like. So it was just like all of a sudden I'm in a whole new universe, a universe where there are no days off. There's a day to get home. And that even though you're traveling, you got to count that as a day off because you might get one whole day at home after you get there. That's the most, and then you got to leave again, and you're on the road, and it's not season. Just everything about it. Like even when I was really really busy before, it was nothing like the WWE routine schedule. So it's like, as far as you're asking, does it just go by real quick? I mean, you have 4 or 5 matches. And then it just rolls into another 4 or 5 matches, another 4 or 5 matches, another, and then you're like, what happened? Hey, the whole month's gone. Okay, how many times did I make it home this month? So the angle itself, I was excited just to even be showing and representing ECW on WWE's stage, and I felt like I was there for who I am and all my accomplishments, everything that I'd done to this point. I wasn't there for them to change. So I felt like that. And that was a really good feeling. And I thought the invasion angle it was really cool. Like, sounds great on paper, WCW and ECW coming together. I don't think they necessarily got all the best players out of WCW. It seems like, that when we made that alliance, that a lot of the people that WCW had to put forward were some of the younger guys that weren't really made stars yet. A lot of them. And then ECW was ECW. And in the end, we were probably just brought there to be dismantled and crushed to pieces anyway.
Absolutely. You're right. Rob, I want to take this time to say thank you so much, man. This is our second time sitting together. The first time was in person, this time over the phone. It's an honor and privilege every time I get to speak to you. You are one of my Mount Rushmores, and I appreciate the hell out of you. You made my childhood so entertaining, and thank you just for everything that you've done for pro wrestling.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that. And speaking of that, make sure you tell your fans about onlywrestlers.com. Check that out. See if that's for you. It's bringing the fans and the wrestlers together. And it's doing really well. We had our first show a couple of weeks ago, and now our next show is going to be in Chicago, and the fans are going to be voting on the matches, setting them up. And we're working on everything, improving improving anywhere we can find improvement for the fan experience. So check it out, onlywrestlers.com, and any advice is taken because this is something where the fans are going to be running the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually see the symmetry is cooking, man. I was actually going to ask you about that. So that's incredible. So the next show is in Chicago and the fans get to, I guess, really take part in everything. And you were getting a lot of positive response.
Last time the voting stopped like before the show. This time it's going to continue at least till like halfway through the show to vote on the second half of the show. And we still got to work out all the little details, but we're learning to improve all the abilities on the platform too, notifications so that when the wrestlers are signing, and also a bunch of wrestlers are still like, I still got to tell them, like, they're not used to checking in with it yet. And so we got a lot more subscribers after doing the last show. And some of the wrestlers, I still got to tell them, hey, you got subscribers, you got to start contenting. And it's a good problem to have, especially when everyone's really patient, because as we're growing, each week that we're improved, then I have a better product to push out there anyway. You know, little things.
Absolutely.
A lot of little things. Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a community chat center there, by the way, that everybody can be in at the same time. And I put that in there for the social value. Like, you want to just talk to some other wrestling fans, or wrestlers could pop in there. I pop in there sometimes, you know, just to see who's in there. And yeah, we've been getting good results. We've been growing and looking to keep on moving in that direction.
Amazing. Well, not only will I put the RVD 420 link in the description of this video, I'm going to put the onlywrestlers.com link in the description of this video so that people can get a chance to experience this incredible thing. And Rob, before I let you go, if you could just do one thing, and if you could look at the screen and say, hey, it's RVD. I had a great conversation with Straight Talk Wrestling, and you should subscribe.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite wrestler, RVD. Just want to let you know, not only are you listening to Straight Talk Wrestling, but you should hit that subscribe button as well.
Amazing. Rob Van Dam, again, I want to thank you. This is an honor and a privilege to sit down with you. And you are a member of the Straight Talk family. So if there's ever a chance down the line you want to do another podcast with me, it would be my honor.
Awesome. Appreciate it, dude. We'll do it again for sure.
All right. That's it for this one, guys. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you next week.
Sweet. Thanks, everybody.
Yo. We just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shorefine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.